A very warm welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to unpack a really powerful story from the Quran. It's this incredible narrative about oppression, about endurance, and ultimately, about how justice prevails. It's a story that has meant so much to so many for centuries, so let's get into why it's so powerful.
So, let's start with the big question that really sits at the heart of this entire account. What happens when raw established power gets challenged, not by a bigger army, but by a moral claim, by an idea? This is the central conflict we see playing out between the prophet Moses and the Pharaoh of Egypt. And things heat up, and they heat up fast. Right from the very beginning, Pharaoh's inner circle, his advisors, they don't see Moses' message as some kind of religious discussion. No, they see it as a direct political threat to their entire system.
And what's so interesting is the language they use. They don't debate the points Moses is making. Instead, they just label him and his followers as agents of chaos, people spreading corruption in the land. It's a tactic, you know? It recasts a moral movement as a criminal insurgency against the state and its deities.
And Pharaoh's reaction? Wow. It's not just swift. It is cold, calculated, and absolutely brutal. This isn't just an empty threat. It's stated policy, a genocidal one. The idea is to completely break the social continuity of Moses' people, to crush their spirit. It's just this raw, terrifying display of power.
So you might be wondering, how do you even begin to respond to that kind of overwhelming brute force? This is where the story takes a really fascinating turn. Moses doesn't fight violence with more violence. Instead, he gives his people what you could call a spiritual toolkit.
His advice is just a masterclass in spiritual strategy. He tells them, first, seek help from God, and second, and this is crucial, be patient. He completely reframes their struggle. He's saying, the ultimate victory isn't about winning a battle tomorrow, but about holding on to your righteousness through the entire ordeal. So let's break down this toolkit because it's so important. You have isti'ana, which is seeking divine help, recognizing you're not alone. Then there's sabr, which is so much more than just waiting around. It's this active, gritty, patient endurance. And finally, salah, prayer, which is that direct line of connection. This isn't a passive approach at all. It's about building incredible inner strength. And right there, you see the clash. It's two completely different ways of seeing the world, playing out on the same stage. On one side, you have the state's toolkit, violence, control, breaking people down. And on the other, this prophetic toolkit, patience, faith, and building people up. It's a conflict on two totally different levels.
Okay, so we've got these two opposing strategies set. Now the conflict moves into a new phase. Things start to escalate, and it happens through a series of divine warnings aimed squarely at Pharaoh and his people.
And here's a really profound point the source makes. These escalating disasters aren't just presented as random acts of divine anger. They're actually framed as a pedagogical strategy, basically a teaching method. They're designed to be wake-up calls, opportunities for Pharaoh's people to stop, reflect, and change course. And you can see this strategy playing out in clear stages. It doesn't start with the most dramatic thing. It starts with economic hardship, famine, crop failure, something they can't possibly ignore. When that doesn't get their attention, the pressure ramps up to these major public calamities. It's a gradual increase, giving them chance after chance to turn back.
Then you get the plagues, which are called distinct signs for a reason. I mean, just think about this. It's not just one bad thing. It's a flood, then locusts that eat everything, then humiliating plagues of lice and frogs getting everywhere, and then their life source, the river, turning to blood. Each one was a clear, unmistakable message hitting their economy, their pride, their sense of order.
So, what's the big takeaway here? The problem wasn't a lack of evidence. I mean, they were swimming in it. The real issue, the root of it all, was arrogance. It was the stubborn, prideful refusal to see what was right in front of their faces.
And this constant denial, this refusal to see, over and over again, well, it brings everything to a head. It reveals this pattern where they make promises, but only when they're desperate, not because they've had a real change of heart.
It becomes this crazy cycle, right? A new plague hits, things get absolutely unbearable, and suddenly they're running to Moses, bargaining. They're promising anything and everything. We'll believe. We'll let the children of Israel go. Just make this stop. It shows their belief was all about convenience, not conviction.
But you probably know what happened next. Every single time, the moment the plague lifted, the moment things felt a little bit normal again, all those promises just vanished. Their commitment was totally conditional. As soon as the danger was gone, they went right back to their old ways.
You know, a cycle like that can't go on forever. Something's got to give. And that brings us to the story's huge dramatic conclusion, a great reversal of fortunes that completely upends their world.
And just like that, the tables turn in the most profound way imaginable. That divine promise made to Moses and his people, it's fulfilled. The very people who had been crushed, oppressed, and considered worthless are made the inheritors of the land.
And what about all of Pharaoh's power? All those grand buildings, those monuments to his own might? All of it, the text says, was utterly destroyed, wiped away. The narrative makes it clear that the works of a tyrant leave no lasting foundation.
And the text makes this connection crystal clear. This incredible reward, this inheritance, wasn't random. It says, the good word of the Lord was fulfilled for them because of what they had patiently endured. Their sabr, their steadfastness through all those years of hardship, is shown to be the direct reason for their vindication.
But the story doesn't just wrap up with a neat, happily ever after. It leaves us with this final, really challenging thought. Liberation isn't the finish line. In fact, it's the starting line for a whole new kind of moral responsibility. The question just hangs in the air. Now that the oppressed have been given this land, this power, how will they use it? The test of justice, it seems, is never really over.